Good morning. Good Fed / Kabuki day. Where's my sound check? All right, thank you. It's like yesterday all over again. So 450, 455, 450, 450 in that neighborhood is still the pivot. And 454 is still an area for a bounce back in the other direction. They're below it now. They were just above it. It's similar to yesterday, but getting below 454 opens the door for these lows down here. The low, excuse me, 453.43. And so that's kind of the story. Even if it's a little whippy this morning, it's going to go to sleep and they're going to be waiting on the Fed for hours before 2 o'clock. So that's just the norm, right? Anything goes, but that's the norm. So I'm looking for a bounce back in the other direction, just in the spirit of they'll whip them around a little bit. That's the concept. So 454 is really the first area for a bounce back in the other direction for me. What else we got? Well, if they rip them up by chance, they go for the gap over here and then 456. But that's not happening right now. We'll see if it does happen. Got some stocks on the move. I'll do my best to go back and forth. Trying to load up a couple here with the prices. We got a few minutes left. There's nothing else, so we'll just wait. A few of them loaded up, the ones that were closest. Let's see. Q's 377.85, 80, 75. That's your pivot here, right? That's right where they are now. I'm not sure they'll get there, but that's the first area I have, 376.65. Got a few seconds to post time here. See, they're hanging around. It's a really important spot, just like yesterday. Hasn't changed. They really didn't get very far. Does opening below it count for anything? Well, probably not. The drill, stay above it, push above, it's the gap, then it's 456. 456 sooner than later. That's an opportunity if they ran them up really quick for a short side. The gap is a coin toss. 456, in my opinion, is not a coin toss.
OMF is set to open right up near the level. NET opened just above its first level. DDOG opened just above its first level. Texas Instruments opened just above its first level, and Robert Half has yet to open. OMF just opened, and it opened above the first level. And NET is just about to hit the first level.
All right, let me run through these.
NET just hit the first level.
This one's not.
OMF is coming back, getting close to its first level. DDOG hit its first level.
No change with the spiders. Just see if I can do two things at once.
DDOG is about to hit its second level.
43.25.
Microsoft is coming into its first level. NET is right on top of its second level.
All right, I can't run through these fast enough.
Busy morning. All right, NET hit its second level, but hit it to the penny, so.
This is what I mean by a bonanza. There's just no way to run through them fast enough.
Datadog has bounced off the second level. OMF never hit the first level. Robert Half opened above its first level.
Big spread in Datadog.
Yeah.
Microsoft. Still with the spider and the pivot. Sounds like a children's book. The spider and the pivot. You still got Net and Datadog doing the same thing. See, if I should have said this before, but use it for the future. These are in the same camp, so you wouldn't take them both. You got to pick one. There it goes. Wasn't that? Base hit on Net, Shannon. Nice job. Look at this. Let's see what Datadog's doing. There you go. So Datadog is, there it is. Okay. So anybody in Datadog should be good to go. Low to the penny on the second number. Funny how that works. Might as well throw that in. Datadog, no fill. We're waiting for the second number, no fill. Yeah, to the penny. That's going to happen. Some fill, some don't. Okay. Net spiked the second number, right? Yeah. So total fill in net if you were waiting on a second number. Microsoft coming in. Let's see what the second. Oh, there it is. 334.60 next on Microsoft if it comes down. 334.60. Low of 19 against 20. See if they can get a little bit of a jolt. If it goes down below, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means they're not ready yet to bounce. It opens the door for the next number, not immediately, but the longer they're below. Works the same as any other chart. Okay, that's a little better. Gave you a buck so far. Right back. I'm just going to update the notes. I'm not going to say anything that I haven't said here before. No change. Above the pivot opens the door for the gap. Doesn't mean they will get there, means they can get there. First place of overhead resistance, but again, my short would be higher. Taking into an account what type of day it is. In an uptrend, a short trade on a Fed day, leading into the Fed, I'm going to be very selective. I'm not going to take the first possible price they could react from. Just the way I do it. It's my thought process. You adjust accordingly, whatever makes you comfortable. Case in point, stocks on the move. A lot of traders don't take the first price. They wait for the second. If they don't get it, they don't get it. But you saw that in Net and Datadog. Not everybody does that. Some of them do that. Some of you do that. I know that, and that's fine. It's taking some of the risk off the table. And for that, sometimes you miss them, and sometimes you get rewarded by doing it. So whatever makes you comfortable. Yes, Jeff, that's still what I'm thinking for now. Just for now, 10 minutes in, but yeah. 454 is still a bounce place if they start pushing below. And if they spike it, they could still bounce in between that and the low here we discussed before, right? 453.40 something. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Scott. It's not that I see you, I'm looking at the charts and I see questions that come in. So if you type something in the box, I see it. If that's what you meant, that's good and welcome. Okay, Microsoft's given a secondary bounce here. So now they've given you $2. I know we have traders in Microsoft. There's no doubt in my mind. There it is. There's your base hit, folks. $3 in Microsoft, give or take. Just about. Dirk got Microsoft and Datadog. Nice job, Dirk. Love it. All right. Let's see what's Datadog doing. There you go. Not bad. Nice job, Gerardo. 1.8K in Microsoft. Well done. Love it. Net. They never look like they're going to turn around until they turn around. Looks like a falling knife. It's not. They're going to run a test of something. Say it all the time because it's true. Once you understand that and start believing in it, again, it's going to be wrong sometimes because my number is going to be wrong sometimes, or it's just going to another place. And that's going to happen. That's a function of trading. But I'm giving you a pretty good zone with each and every stock. Most of them are going to work. Nice rip. Look at that. My goodness. Anybody still riding Net and Datadog? And this is the example, which is, I know, hard to do, but this is a great example of it. Would have been easy to do if you just take the profit to put the base hit in your pocket and just hold it. They gave it to you really fast. They didn't really put you through any pain. See how high. You never know. You never know which ones are going to give you the rocket ride. I know it's hard, but you have to train yourself to try it with a small share size and just see it. You have to see it work. You have to feel it work. You have to feel it in your account. You have to see it. Until it's real, it's not real. Once you see it work and you see the return on it, because it's not going to happen every time, but the ones that do, and you never know, you're going to see where you get an opportunity to take off another $2, $3, $4 or whatever it is. You're going to see it in your account and it's going to become a reality that you can keep trying it. Just holding a piece even, 25%, whatever. It adds up. Transports up, oh yeah, the transports are on fire, up 2%. What'd they do, settle that UPS thing? I'm just guessing, I have no idea. Yeah. And we've got relative strength in the IWM. You take that for what it's worth at face value. They poked their head up to a new high yesterday and pulled back. They're just creeping up. Are they going to have a blow off top? Are they just going to keep going on the Fed? Are they going to have a pullback and a sell the news rumor? And all those things are possible. We don't know. But if they have kind of a continuation, looks like a blow off top coming, whatever, don't forget what I said in the video last night about where, okay? I'm not even going to be here to watch it. I have a garden variety doctor's appointment. I didn't realize till yesterday afternoon when they called to confirm it. So right at smack at 2 o'clock. So it is what it is. Doesn't matter. It's just spectator sport anyway. I'm not intending to try and trade it or anything like that. Not in the heat of the moment. Spectator sport for me. UPS no strike. Grant says, yeah, I mean, that was obvious on the just looking at the transports. That was the only and first thing that popped into my mind. Isn't that funny? Anybody buy that in the queues? Sorry, I wasn't watching it. Where's Armand? Nick bought the queues. Sean took the queues. NQ, nice job, Sammy. Okay. Something for everybody, right? We don't have to just watch one thing. Right back. Let's check in on Mickey Soft. So they gave you 341 and a quarter. Pretty good, right? Hanging around 340. Round number. Let's see. IWM. Look at that. My goodness. 67 against 70. Nick bought a test of 196. Okay. It's an important number for sure, but it's not really a daily number. It's like a big picture number. But it's important is important. It's still important regardless. Sean took the cues for a nice ride. Well done. I think I already saw that. Yeah, I already saw that. Brian, that's fine. Listen, that's what it's there for. Again, Brian bought the pivot and took some trades off of it, okay? So it's well done. And here's the thing. Early on, he took it when it was bouncing around the pivot. So the point was this. Again, I say it every day because it's so true. You take what I say, you take the information, and you develop what makes you comfortable with what's going on in the market today, what we're talking about, everything you're learning in here on an ongoing basis. It's that simple. Well done. Armand, there you go. I was looking for you. You were busy. Nice job. Armand played Google, Microsoft, Net, and Datadog. We haven't looked at Google. You bought it. Okay. Big picture, it's got more to go, I think. Nice job, Armand. It's got more than 10K, 20 minutes. Those were nice rips in those stocks. Did you take profit and hold some? Is that the way you did? I'm just curious for the benefit of everybody. Came close. Look at that. Texan. Yeah, Armand did exactly what we were talking about before. Thank you for putting that in. I just wanted to see if that was a big part of the reason why you were able to make that kind of profit on those trades, because he held the trailer. He took some profit, put it in his pocket, and said, all right, let's see. And we got, the never knows. And so thanks, Armand. That proves the point. A little bit of a bonanza today, I think, for a lot of traders here. Yeah, that's too late and Texan. It comes down later, next number maybe, but not here. First time, best time, too close. That bounce in the cues. See how they come up short of the gap. Might have screwed two factions of traders, definitely one today, but the number was here. And they could have come to the gap and it was close enough where it didn't matter, right? If they spiked my number and they filled the gap down here just a few cents lower, what would have been the difference? I always just said, well, they filled the gap. But my number was my number and they didn't fill the gap. It was interesting. Doesn't happen all the time, but it happens. Here comes a retest of the pivot. What a shocker. Not really. You knew that. I'll be back in 30 seconds. All right, I'm back. Didn't come back to anything new, but I'm back. Not me. Yeah, if it was after hours, it's not really important to me. The shenanigans candles during regular hours are the ones that they generally go to a gap anyway, or close to it. And so when price is coming there, you're looking at that number anyway. So they're just things to know. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jeffrey. Those are my numbers, and it's just the way it is. I can't tell you why I didn't do something. I can tell you why I did do something. And these are my numbers. They're the same as yesterday. And listen, this is what makes a market. Everybody looks at the same information, the same stuff. There's only one set of stuff. And we all interpret it our own way because our minds are all wired slightly different from each other. So you and I can look at the same piece of information and interpret it completely opposite or just different. Or one of us ignores it and the other thinks it's really important. That's what makes a market. It's an auction, right? Think about it. The whole thing's an auction. It's exactly what it is. It's not just a metaphor. It is an auction. And if you think about an auction, it's bidding. And if you put something on eBay and somebody bids X, that's who's willing to pay X. That's the market until somebody else comes in. You know, simpleton scale, that's what it is. All right, so Mark's saying 15-minute bear flag eating time off the clock versus, and I have to scroll here, versus from the opening candle. Versus, from, yeah, okay, so what Mark's saying is you got two ways to look at this. A gap down and a bear flag developing, right? It's not enough time yet. I mean, you look at, well, look at this, and you can't really, I don't see a bear flag when I see this, right? Well, I suppose if this was, yeah, if there wasn't the white space, you could say, well, yeah, this is making a bear flag, okay? Or do you look at it from the open and it's making a bullish flag, bullish pullback, consolidation, or something like that? Well, it's a good question. And again, what makes a market? Which way do you see it? I just use 450, 455 as the pivot. And I don't know which way I don't know which it is, right? It's subjective. If it goes up, it was a bull flag or a bullish pullback type of situation inside this candle from the open. If it goes down, it was a bear flag. You can't say it until after the fact. But both can be correct, and Mark's right. Which one is it though? Well, they just run a test of the pivot. 55 low. Yeah. Funny how that works? Might as well. Yeah, Chad sees a bull flag. Somebody else might see a bear flag. I mean, if I did this and I said, let's just assume that this is filled in, right? Just forget the slant. That's one candle. Now what is it? Now it's hard to see a bull flag. Yeah. This is all what makes a market. How do you see it? And does what give you the confidence to put capital at risk because what is going to produce the next thing, which is as a result of what, and when you build confidence, then you put capital to work. So you have to be right. You can't, you're not going to always be right, but you have to be 100% certain you're right, that this, and you know where it's wrong. You never 100% anything. I understand that, but you get the point. You have to have, like I say before, when I get into a trade, I'm 100% confident it's going to work, but I have the complete full understanding that they're not all going to work. But I approach them all the exact same way, mechanically, based on the information that I believe is correct. That's what this business is about for me. Yeah, it seems about right, Alos. Retracement intraday, but at this point, they just still use the pivot. If the pivot came out to one of those retracements, then funny how that works is all I can say. Let's check in over here at the Dater Dog. Some rip. Net. Yeah, figured they were moving. Look, they filled a gap already. 67. Nice. What's UPS doing? Nothing. What does that look like? So far, looks like a bearish wedgish type of situation so far. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, Roman, still 454 is on the table. Yep. If they start getting below the pivot, you're going to hear me talk about that. And if they're not going to get there, they're going to spike the low and come out somewhere in between and rip it back up. But 454 is still my number. And that's one of those trader's choice situations. Though there will be traders that take this, and they're putting on more risk than the trader that waits for this. And sometimes they'll get filled and get a profit, and this trader will get left without anything, and that's fine. They didn't get to the place, so it was a no trade for me. And other times they'll come down here, and those traders will get the good fill, and these traders either don't care or have to sit through that. And this isn't that far, all things considered. I'm just saying in general terms. So some traders will say, hey, look, 25 cents above or something like that, I don't care. I'll buy them both, or I'll just wait. I don't care, but I'm going to get in here. And other traders will say, I'm going to wait because I'm going to do it as a process. That's the number. What makes you comfortable? You're welcome. Just watching, having a little fight with the notes over here. I'll be back. All right, I'm back here. Would I consider RTX for the same play as yesterday? No. It's just that was yesterday. No. First time, best time. Don't go for another bite at the apple. Sometimes there's a razor. Once in a while, there's a reason, but not that one. Is holding above the pivot for a run above 455 still valid since they've spent so much time closing candles above, Michael asks? And the answer is, as long as they're above the pivot, the door is open to run higher. They're eating time off the clock inside the first candle. Okay, that's what they're doing now. We had that discussion about, is it a bear flag or is it a bull flag? Well, I got to tell you, I see a bull flag. That's what I see. All right. So I can't say they will do it, but if they start closing candles below, it's going to be wrong. That's what I can tell you. And it's really no different than I told you earlier. We know about it. The longer they stay above, the more evidence it is. This just doesn't guarantee they'll get there, but that's what they're doing. That's the real answer. Texan, that was off the table. Yeah, that was, they came close. We talked about that one, Jorge. Too bad. That happens. We know that. JWN, is it a short? It was yesterday, right? Or whenever this was. Monday. It was on Monday. That was off the alerts. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, just for fun. Let me see if I could come up with a number where they might be drawn to somewhere in here, right? This is a big area. Hold on. Not because it's halfway home. It's just ironic that that worked out that way. No, it's not, but it's 2370 is really the next place I could find that they would get drawn to and have a reaction from, but it could happen anywhere. But that's the next number I come up with. It's just funny how that works. It's right smack in the middle, and I had nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. Let's see where that falls on a retracement right here. Just below 70, whether you use 75 or what is it, 786, doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. It's really close to that. See, that number was important yesterday and today for opposite reasons. Resistance one day, support the next. That's how you know the number's important. Eating time off the clock, slow tape. It's not an excuse. It's just for anything. It's just the fact. Oh, Microsoft's coming down. Wasn't that the first number? Jerome, I think that was the first number. In fact, I'm sure of it. That's a first time, best time. Same situation, same conversation, no change. You're not taking Microsoft at this again. That trade's over. They gave you $7. Regardless of what happens at this number, the trade is finished. Maybe at the second number if they came down, but that's it. Yeah, the second number sooner than later, but so here's the thing, you got to kind of file this away and use this in the future. So the trades are always best when there's participation in the market. The participation is going to wane, as it does just about every day after the morning rush hour to rush 90 minutes, right? So if something did its thing at the first number, like Microsoft, and it starts dripping lower, and you find it down there around lunch, yeah, it can bounce, but is it going to have the same type of sponsorship that it had at 337.20, at 334.60 at lunchtime? No, because there's less people around. There's less interest after the morning rush when there's participation. That's a concept. It's not saying who's there and who's not and what funds are buying or selling Microsoft. It's none of that because we don't know. It's just a concept of the less participation, and if it's dripping lower, just be accepting of the fact that the trade already happened. Now you want to take it, and that's up to you, but I just want you to think about it like that. As the day goes on, they get less and less attractive. Not that they can't work. The bread and butter is really in the first 90 minutes. And we're still in that window. I just wanted to kind of get that concept out. Well, you see the drop in participation every day, just about, with exception, meaning the volume, the interest, the volatility, all that stuff just dries up for a while. And sometimes it never comes back. Sometimes it comes back in the afternoon a little bit. Yeah. Pivot again. So the information that that's providing is very simple. You take it at face value. That's an important spot. They keep bouncing off of it. They're running a test. And every time the bears try and get it down there, the bulls run out on defense really fast. And they send them right back in the other direction. If, in fact, the bears can put the bulls on their butt and get below, then you may have something cooking for a bounce back, but not until. And can traders stay long as they're above the pivot? Yeah, you just got to understand what happens if they drop below, because they've shown you the test a couple times already. First, they came up short, then they hit it on the nose, then they spiked it through. You know, how many times you want to bet on that? Now, the more times they test it, the more times that they're eating away at it, the more likely they are to finally bust through. So that's the way it works on both sides. That's the way you look at that. That's the way I look at that. And if Microsoft came down now, sooner than later type of situation, like we said, that number is still a good number. At this stage in the morning, after the first hour, I wouldn't expect, like I said, the same sponsorship and interest in 337.20 at 334.60. Made a low, took a big bounce, and now it made a different low. That's a different setup now. It's a different trade. It's a different look on the chart. It's different than this being a good low and they went up and filled the gap. That's different. This didn't hold. That's the point. So now we know that the institutions are looking for another spot. Not that they're looking for another spot. There's going to be another spot that they step in and play defense, because you and me buying a few hundred shares of Microsoft is not going to do the trick. We're not going to turn it around. Somebody else has to do it. So it's got to be at a number. Sooner than later, Scott. Meaning, since you're relatively new or brand new, meaning it's got to happen like in the next candle or two or so. Later on, not so much, because they end up creeping into it. We don't like creeping markets. We want them to come in crisply when nobody ever thinks it's going to actually go back in the other direction. That's the one you want. And if you're right on the number, you get the bounce. Use the same process for 334.60 that I use for 337.20. It's just the next number in line, and that's it. So take it for what it's worth at face value. I mean, it could, Mark, and then also it might not. So there you have it. That's why I try and eliminate that kind of stuff, because it's variable information that you can't know until after the fact. So what's the point in thinking about it? Because now you begin the process of guessing at something. That begins the process. So what we're talking about here, and I'm not, Mark understands that I'm just helping the situation here. I'm just trying to give my perspective. Microsoft's going to the next number and could get the SPY moving in the southbound lane. Well, yeah, it could, and it might not. And that was my point when I said before, is that begins the process of us making a bad decision because we begin the guessing process. That is, I would say, a very small step in the guessing direction. Not that you're guessing, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying, everybody, not just Mark. You start interpreting things saying, well, if this happens, then this is going to happen. Not necessarily. We treat each chart independent of one another. Just looking around the horn, Microsoft did the tweener so far. What does that mean? That's a technical term for they came halfway in between the two numbers and bounced. Just so happens there was a round number. There was always a round number, but 336 was it right now. 336 isn't really important by itself, not at all. 330, 300, 350. It's not 330, 3 1/4, 350. Those are more apt to be important stuff. Just along with something else, everything I teach, that's just an added thing. Yeah, Raji, give me a second. I'm just in the middle of looking at one more thing. Okay, Raji wants to take a look at, see, by the way, look at what we just said before. This was in response to what we were talking about not correlating anything together. Look, so Microsoft's bouncing and the spiders are coming down. The spiders were going sideways as Microsoft was coming down. So it has nothing to do with each other. That was the point, was it just eliminate the variable stuff that is just subjective and it happens sometimes and we think that it happens and then it doesn't happen. Then it doesn't happen for another excuse rather than the fact that it just doesn't happen. And so there you have it. So now let's look at well, there's nothing going on in Tesla. Tesla's up less than 1%. There's nothing going on. I mean, can't buy it, can't sell it. It's just, if they were going to spike it up, where are they going? 270, maybe 268, 269, right, 269. Support 264, short-term stuff. That's not that much of a move for Tesla. But Netflix, there was something interesting. So they've got some unfinished business down here. So if they spike the low and they rip it back up in the other direction, the place that they would do it from, or the place they could do it from, 417.57. 414 is the next place. So it creates a zone. Netflix. See, you got unfinished business down here. Now, the longer this goes on, the lower it can go. But right now, there's still unfinished business down here. And you could make a case. I don't know if you can make a case. I think it would have to go lower to fulfill symmetry. But this would be a way station. This is unfinished business in this zone. But really here. Netflix. Sure. You're welcome. And what are the spiders doing? Nothing. Nothing at all. Hanging around the pivot. Now it looks like bear flag, right? Not so much. Bull flag. Could be a pullback. Testing the breakup candle low. Both things could be possible. It's just looking at it from different time frames. Everything morphs from smaller to larger. So is it morphing into a dripping lower situation and this really isn't going to hold? We don't know. But if it doesn't hold, that's still valid. 454. A mean tweet this morning? I'm not sure, Chad. From who? This is a patience business. Now, what we talked about before, they could spike the low and rip it back. 454 is my number. Trader's choice. We don't know which one is going to happen until after the fact. Both are certainly possible. We've seen it work both ways. All right, so it's showtime for some, or the beginning of it, not for me. 454. If they get there, fine. If they don't, fine. Same routine. They don't have to, but if they do. No change. Still here. Slow as molasses, but no change. Yeah, as the morning grows on, you tend to get less and less interested because you don't want to be in a trade around the Fed, right? Now, not that you have to hold it till 2 o'clock, but you just don't want to be in one. That's not what this business is. You want to be in one on your own, that's your own thing, but that's just a bet, right? But you don't want to be in what we're doing here around the Fed. No way. Wondering or even not wondering, this is one of those, we're not sticking around too long today. All things considered, this week and almost each and every time we get one of these Fed deals, it's kind of like the same carbon copy situation. Nothing we can do about it. When it's not, it's not. And when it is, meaning the slow tape and all that stuff. Meanwhile, I'm going to take a little bit of a breather, walk around, take a break. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back just in the nick of time. 454 should still be valid. Just know your risk. The other side is if they bust through, it could be all the way down to 453, 45, 43 in that general ballpark. Could be. I'm not trying to scare anybody away from it. I'm just telling you what the facts are. Hopefully you heard that, Brent, because the sound should be on. Yeah, thanks, Brent. 03 so far. See, here's your low here in the Qs. So my next number's down here, nothing in between. I don't have anything in between. That looks like some symmetry. Move down, move up, move down. That looks like symmetry. It resembles it. Probably not exact. All right, so there's your 54. 43.99. So there's your 54. So they come into it, that's okay, but this is a spot. Just so you're aware, 453.70, 69.70 is right where that hourly chart 50 period moving average is. And I'm just putting it out there just for knowledge purposes. I'm not saying they're getting there. I'm saying if they start coming lower, they could be running for that. They start as a scalp with potential. You put something in your pocket, 5 to 7 points. We can even call it 4 points today. You don't know. Just Fed day. It's very, very sketchy. Netflix is in the zone. Oh yeah. Look at that. All right. They're in the zone. Okay. Yeah, that's feasible, John. Correct. But you really have to take something before the pivot. And I know it's not that far away, but I just want to make sure that you kind of put something in your pocket Fed day. Just, it's mush. You want to hold it, that's totally fine. Just don't let it go bad. That's how I'll leave it at that. Just looking around, see Microsoft fighting the second number, spiked it a little bit. That's normal garden variety stuff. They don't have to. Look at, you got both ends here. Here they didn't, they rocketed right off of it. Here they spiked it and now they're fighting back above. You never know which one. Yeah, I would say that's reasonable, John. If you're willing to buy, look, if you're willing to let this go below your entry at this stage, then yeah, 453.70, give or take, is that hourly chart moving average if they came down, and then you have the low about 30 cents lower. But right now they're about to give you just enough to say it's a scalp in your pocket. Spoke too soon. I'm gonna walk away in a minute. Alan asked me to walk away. I might just do it. This should not be torture, John. This is nothing close to torture. Absolutely not. If you feel torture, your position size is way too big. This is mechanical. They came to the number. They bounced off the number. The trade is working. They never were out of the money. This is not torture. And if it is torture for you, then there's a pretty fair chance this isn't for you. Soft at the second number? I would assume so. We had some folks asking about it. Job, Mark. There's nothing you could do about the slow tape. That's just the environment we're in today. Microsoft gave you a buck. I'll be right back in 30 seconds. Microsoft doing nicely. Back to the first number, maybe. If it's a good low, could be. See how they didn't get to the gap. Funny how that works. All right, spiders are pushing a little bit. Little by little, penny by penny. 4 points. The pivot will be what? Say it after me. Overhead resistance. Got to be out of something in front of the pivot. Nice job, Jeff. 4 points, 2 contracts, $400, holding 1. Well, $200 so far. Good job. Or maybe you had 3. Either way, nice job. Doesn't matter. Robert, nice job. Got net in both Microsoft numbers. Now in the spider. I would call that a pretty good day. Well done. That's what this is all about. We just wait for the stuff we want. You're welcome, Namit. Made money in net and the spiders just now. That's a successful day. Nice job, Trevor. Took some spider options. Well done. Everybody trades their own way. Futures, options, they have different characteristics, different risks, same numbers, same direction, same everything. It's just a different vehicle to trade. The ETFs or the ETNs or ET products, I should call them, exchange traded products. Paul's got 4K in his pocket for the day. Well, that's a pretty nice day, Paul. Well done. 450, 450, 55, in between, penny up, penny down, something like that, whatever, give or take, is going to be overhead resistance for a while. If it's not, fair enough, but it's an exit point if you haven't taken one yet. If you just took one, you don't have to take one with another 10 cents. Alos, you know what that's called? It's called a mush. Alos says probably 454 is low of day. I say that's a mush. And what's a mush? So I'll go to golf for a second. So let's say you putt, you got a 12-foot putt, 15-foot, doesn't matter what the length of the putt is. The putt's going in the hole, it's breaking towards the hole, it's right in the center of the cup, it's going in, it's trickling in. And then all of a sudden, somebody, whether he's on your team or the other team, he goes, nice putt. And just as he says that, it veers off to the right, okay? Or it veers off to the left and it misses the hole. It was his fault for mushing the putt. The putt was going in until he said something. I firmly believe that. Right, it happens all the time. Exactly, it's called a mush. So Alos, we don't mush the market. If you're long, you don't say that could be the low. It could be, but don't mush the market. And I'm saying all this in jest, but I believe in stuff. That's right, Mark. Don't say anything until it's over. That's right. Don't talk to my ball. Exactly. I say that all the time. Don't talk to my ball. Of course I am, Scott. Superstitious. I think his name was Mush in Bronx Tale. I know what you're talking about, Mark. That's where I got it from. The guy they shoved in a closet? I'm not sure. Murphy? Yeah, Murphy. Right. The bathroom closet, whatever it was. You see how they come up short of 450, 455, and they pull back. This is on a very small scale, a form or a derivative of torture, right? If you're waiting for the exact number and you don't exit in front of a number and they don't give it to you, it causes you to want to chase the market down, to not let the profit go away, and you make bad decisions when you get emotionally involved. And that's why it's precisely why I say it almost every day, if not every day. That's precisely why I say exit in front of numbers. We like to enter spiking of a number, ideally, but you gotta exit in front of a number. Let the greedy folks have the last couple of ticks. Let them have it. It's fine. You're welcome, Trevor. You bet. Now, I'm not saying they won't go back up. I'm just saying who wants to be subjected to that? That's all. And Microsoft, second number. So what do we have today? We had Microsoft twice if you wanted it. We had Datadog, all you can eat. We had Net, all you can eat. We had a little spider trade in here. Anything else? I don't remember. I think that was it. Oh, look what I just found. Now, I'm not saying this is a trade. This was over, but look what they did. They spiked the low at the number and took it back up a little bit, but it's not a trade anymore. First time, best time, just the way it rolls. Also the Qs, we had some traders in the Qs. Yeah, we had some traders in the Qs early from here up to here. At least, well, we had some. Yeah, we had a few. Certainly Armand, Sean. It was about 5 points, Jeff, I think. unless you're talking about total for the day. That whatever it is, great job. DocuSign, I saw that earlier. Was that screaming up? Or no, that was Teledata or something, or Teledoc. DocuSign, DOCU. Well, I already made a move. I mean, just went into resistance up here. Up here, above here, it opens the door for somewhere up here. That's all you could say. That's all you could say. Doesn't guarantee they get there, but that's all. That's it. They could eat time off the clock. They could do anything. There's nothing here. They made a good move. Let's see. Nah, that trade's over, Jeff. Teledoc? Yeah, I saw that one earlier. That one I did see. Give me a moment. I think I could run some numbers on this. Just hold on a second. That's, you can't see it there. That's a zone. That's a target if you're long. They have to get above this pivot. That becomes the target. Can't buy it here. You don't buy it after this kind of a run, so don't do anything like that. That's chasing the tape. All right. But if you are long, just by chance, just hypothetically speaking, if they get above this pivot, that's the target. And if they get above this, this is the zone. This is overhead resistance up in here. Could be either or in the middle. Teledoc. Let's see. Okay, Marcus, you good with that? Okay, let me answer Alan's question. So let's say you're holding a trailer in the spiders, all right? What's the target for the remaining half? And I would say if they get over 450, 455, your target becomes in the neighborhood of 55, right up in these highs here. Yes, but you have to realize that the closer you get to 2 o'clock, you don't want to be holding it at that time if the trade was intended for the purposes of what we took it for. If you want to hold it as a gamble or something, that's totally up to you, but you understand what I'm saying, hopefully. The next exit above 450, 455 would be around these highs. You exit in front of 455, 454, 85, 454, 87, 90, 82, something like that. Yeah, exactly. No reason you can't hold it as long as they don't let it go. Just don't let it go bad. Jeffrey C. got Microsoft, got the spider just now. Consistent day, no chasing. Good job. Well done. That was Jeffrey. There's 2 Jeffrey C's in here. If it wasn't one, it was the other. Now, Jerome, there's no more trades today. That's it. I'm going to wrap it pretty soon, and then that's the end. 452.68 would be it for me. That would be the only thing I would take before the Fed if I had enough time on the clock. Forget that. That was in the heat of the moment. Now it's too late. You just don't need it before the Fed. You don't need to get stuck in something. If you try and take a different number and they go all the way down to 452, 70, 68 in that camp, then you're going to be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Well, then don't do it. The trading session from a trading perspective is over. And just take what experience I have, what wisdom I may or may not have, you decide. And just take that and heed that type of information. The market is like a store. It's open all day. That doesn't mean you have to shop there all day. You get what you need and you get out, you go to the next place or you go home. That's it. Don't treat it as a job where you have to be there. You treat it as a business where you just want to make the deals you want to make each day and you go about your own personal business. Nice job, Stephen. Doesn't matter doesn't matter what the position size was. What matters is you understand the process and you get used to it and you see it work. Do I ever stay with looking for long shorts on a normal day to near the end of day? Yeah. So let's say you bought this 454. There's plenty of traders that are still holding this right now. Okay. Let's say you bought this and they start creeping up. Now forget about today with the Fed, and I think that's what you're talking about, right, Scott? So not that I'm looking for it, but if it starts to creep up, and I'm essentially in my mind trailing a stop. I'm not going to let the thing collapse on me, but I'm not putting a stop in the system because they'll come and get it if price gets close. So can I hold it into the end of the day and hopefully you get one of those end of the day ramps, which happens all the time? Absolutely. Done it many times. But understand this, I'm never going to have a full position that I put on at 454 into the end of the day. I have to have taken profit already because that's how you treat it as a business. But the answer to your question is, as long as you're holding a trailer, you can hold it into the end of the day, sure. Yeah, there's plenty of traders that do it here. Sometimes we catch the low a day. It happens more than a bread box. You're in an uptrend, you're looking for pullbacks because in an uptrend, there's a, not perceived, but there's a real bid underneath the market. There's a buy the dip mentality in an uptrend. That's what we're in. So you just go with it until it's over. That's why I say every night, the trend is your friend until it's over. Okay, Sean, great job. Yes, Shannon, RTX was a good example from yesterday. Let's check that out. So RTX, look, you just can see the daily chart, okay? RTX ripped all day long, all right? Forget this. Ripped all day long, and then you look at a 15-minute chart, and here's the last candle closing on the highs. So if you were in from down here, just as the example, there's no reason to sell it. If you're holding a piece, this happens. You know it happens. I know it happens. The fans at home know it happens. So if you can convince yourself to hold a piece and for the never know, and sometimes you'll get stopped out. And you'll get stopped out more often than this will happen. But this does happen. And if you get stopped out, you're only getting stopped out on the trailer. You still made a profit. It's just a matter of how much. And that's a great example. Right? Yeah, I do mean that, Scott, but I didn't want to say it. Yeah, I know that, James. Alaska talked about in the video last night. It's just one of those trades that had a mind of its own, right? Not the manner in which just was not good for what I set up. It didn't happen. Yeah, technically, it stopped out. But there's a great example of the thing worked, but you know, were you able to sustain it? Were you able to hang out if you were in it? Or did you have to take a loss and then it worked anyway? And that happens. Happens to me, happens to you, it happens to everybody. It's not going to be the first time, it's not going to be the last time. It's just sometimes it happens. That's a tough business. Trick, trap, fool, and frustrate crew. That was the frustrate crew part. All right, so back to the pivot. So this is a full-on base hit. The rest is trader's choice. And we're going to wrap it pretty soon because there's nothing else to do. It was a good morning all around the horn. Leave it at that. We're not looking for anything else. You want to come back and watch the Kabuki Theater at 2 o'clock? That's fine. You're in a trailer? That's fine. Looking for something new? You have to have a trade. You have to get out of that mindset. Nice job, Grant. See that? 82 to 86.70 RTX. Good, Scott. Yeah, this is just one day, right? I mean, if this is your first day, it's just one day. I think this is your first day. Okay, Chad. See you tomorrow. Oh, you tried it before. Okay. Be right back. Give it the old last call here. Last call for alcohol, last call for questions, comments, complaints. Newer, slow day like today. Wrap it at about that 2-hour mark, give or take. A different day. And I'll stick around as long as I need to into the early afternoon. I've done it plenty of times. When things are volatile and there's opportunity, I'll stick around. When there's not, and it's a day like today, there's no reason to stick around. We have to train ourselves to walk away. And that's basically what I do. So after the morning session, there's a dead space for me in the afternoon. I prepare for the video and I make the video at night, and that's it. So this is morning business, any way you look at it. I know there are trades in the afternoon sometimes, and I'm not missing anything. I just don't play in the afternoon. Okay, Jeff, Brent, and that's fine, Ron. There's nothing wrong with a 456 target also, as long as you can hold it. All right, Kyler. Well, yeah, I'm never going to take those down. That's it. They're there for memorialized as long as YouTube will take them, as long as YouTube will keep them there. Yeah, I know, Eric. That's fine. I get yeah, listen, every time I walk away, it moves. I get that. It's Murphy. Well, minus the Fed, we caught low a day so far. I know that's a mush, but I don't care. I'm going to wrap it anyway. This is a full-on trade. Rest is trader's choice. Sometimes they give you 15 or 20 points, but when they give you 5 to 7, that's my version of a scalp. Plus the other stuff we had, I'm good with that. The rest is who knows what they give you. They can give you up to 455. That'll be 15 points. And if they get any more than that, it's total gravy. Okay, Kyler, see you tomorrow. I get it, Eric. Nothing wrong with that. You're talking about if you're looking for 2 points, then 2 ticks means a lot. But if you're looking for 5 to 7, a couple of ticks here and there is not going to matter. And I get that. A little front running, a little behind, a little in front, it's fine. You're welcome. This time they came right to the number. Exactly. 1 penny, right? What was the low? 453.99. Funny how that works. We were looking for it yesterday. They didn't do it. Sure, I have Riz, but I don't do it anymore. You just play ping pong back and forth. Yeah, I can do that, but I don't want to. Not interesting to me. You get mesmerized just watching the tape go back and forth. I like the bigger picture, bigger stuff, bigger trades. I'm not looking for a couple of points. I can and I used to, but I don't anymore. You can play ping pong in the afternoon sometimes. All right, folks. That's it. It's a good day. Leave it at that. Fed day, Kabuki Theater, spectator sport. Don't do stupid stuff. You want to make a bet, that's on your own. You know the drill. And we'll be back tomorrow in uniform, ready to go. We'll talk about whatever happened after the Fed in tonight's video. And yeah, in uniform, ready to go tomorrow, Mark. Absolutely. Appreciate everybody. You know that. This is the way it goes. Not every day is fantastic. Some days are a dud. Some days we get great trades. Some days it's difficult. Some days it's easy. We get all of the above. We're going to win most of them. We're going to lose sometimes. That still holds true. Never forget that, right? This business will remind you of that sometimes. Not sometimes. It will always remind you of that eventually. So we'll leave it at that. Appreciate everybody. Back tomorrow in uniform, ready to go. Don't do stupid stuff. Thank you. See ya.